This is currently my 5th year as a print-on-demand seller. And in that time, I have been able to take this business from more of a side hustle to a full-time income stream where I am selling thousands of dollars of products every single month. Now, throughout the last 5 years, there have been so many things that I learned. And if I was to go back and do it all again, I am confident that I could achieve the same results in a lot less time just because I know what to do, what not to do, and some of the things that really tripped me up and wasted a ton of time. Now, I feel like there are so many other sellers that are either just starting this business or have been working really hard without making a lot of progress for a year or two already. So today's video, we're talking about the fact that you won't make money until you change these 7 things. Now, I guarantee some of these you have probably never heard about before and were really, really pivotal in helping me truly grow this business into a real income stream instead of just something that was making me a few dollars here and there. So let's not waste any more time and just jump right into it. Now, the first thing you need to fix about your print-on-demand business, if you really do want to grow this to where it's making you hundreds or even thousands of dollars every single month instead of just pennies or literally losing you money, is you need to stop treating this like a hobby and start looking at this as a business. Now, I know that is easier said than done, or it can sound very cliche, but this truly is one of the biggest switches that I see so many successful print-on-demand sellers take early on that really helps them catapult into a lot of success. Now, what I mean by treating this like a hobby is you are showing up for your business kind of how you want to, how you feel every single day. So I have tons of hobbies, but I am truly guilty of picking something up, working on it for a little bit of time, and then I get kind of bored and I move on to the next thing. Or when I have time for my hobbies, I spend hours working on them, and then I come into a really busy season of my life, and definitely the extra hobbies are the first things to go. Now, what you need to do if you do want to grow this into an income stream that is going to be consistent and that is going to grow with you every single month is you need to look at this like a business. So you might not be making any money right now, but you need to act as if you have to show up every single day. Now, I know so many people are working other jobs, you have other things that you are doing, but if you do want a chance to actually grow this, you need to dedicate a portion of time that you are going to work on this business every single day and consistently stick to that. Just showing up and uploading listings truly is sometimes the difference between the shops that really take off after a few months and those that kind of just fizzle out where someone's been working on for years without making any real progress. Now, I am a big believer in writing down your goals, writing down the things you're going to work on. So I highly suggest picking a goal of an amount of time or an amount of listings that you want to be able to get done every single day of the week and really truly sticking with that. But so many of us did pick print on demand as a business we wanted to grow because it is super fun. There's so much enjoyment to it. That's definitely why I picked it. I saw it as something I could really stick with, but that doesn't mean that when we're not feeling like it or it doesn't seem fun that day that we should just not work on it at all. You're really going to have to kind of shift your mindset when it comes to how you are working on this business. So that is the very first thing you need to be switching if you really want to grow this to make sustainable income. Now, the next thing you truly need to fix in your business is something that I almost never hear other people talking about in print on demand, but this is huge and can be such a difference in if you are actually growing your business or if you're just letting it kind of sit there and be stagnant. And that is you need to stop wasting time on the things that are going to make your listings 2% better and only focus on the things that are going to have like a 90% return if you spend more time on them. So with really any side hustle, with any business, anything that you're putting out in the world, there are so many things that you could improve that are going to just minutely make a difference in the outcome of that product, of what you're making, and especially in print on demand. So for example, when I was early on, I spent so much time trying to learn new tools or make hand-drawn graphics or really work to perfect the exact colors of my design. Now, all of those are not bad things to work on, but if I found the perfect color that worked really, really well with this style of t-shirt and changed that, that likely isn't going to make a huge difference in the number of sales that I was getting. But changes that I could make that could potentially have like a 90% or greater difference on the the amount of people who are viewing my listings or clicking on them are things like working on mockups. So another example of this is doing your niche research. So if you spend the extra time doing research to find a niche that is going to make sales, that is going to make so much of a difference. So it's worth spending time on. But if you are spending hours and hours just scrolling through pages of Etsy and looking for what types of designs you like, what looks cute, what's doing well right now, that could end up wasting a lot of time and not really making a difference on the listings you're getting out. Definitely the biggest time wasters I see people working on is spending hours and hours on their designs, spending so much time looking for inspiration on places like Etsy or Amazon from other sellers. I see people wasting a lot of time just trying to learn new tools and skills, which is very important, but it can become a huge black hole for your time if you are spending hours watching tutorials on YouTube, if you're trying every single new font and a new design suite. So instead, focus on working on the things that make a real difference, spending extra time in mockups, spending the time to actually write great titles and great descriptions. And I highly suggest, if you are trying to grow this into a real business, like I said, not just treat it like a hobby, do a time audit when you are creating your listings. So every single time you start a new activity that's related to your print-on-demand business, write down what time you start and what time you stop and what you're doing. And you might find that you're spending a lot of time working on things that aren't necessarily giving you a huge return in your listings actually getting seen and potentially purchased. Now, a next huge thing that so many people need to fix in their print-on-demand business that is keeping them from actually making money is spending way too much on really unique, very cool products that aren't going to give them the return in the profit department. So I am a huge believer, and you definitely want to give your customers a good experience. You want to invest in quality products, but there is kind of a fine line between purchasing a product that is good and one that just is way too expensive for what you can charge. So for example, I have worked with Printify for a long time as my manufacturing partner, and I love that most of their products are pretty low cost. You're able to make a huge profit when you sell them on Etsy or Amazon, but they do have a huge catalog, which is something that I love. And sometimes they have these really unique products that are so cool, and I am super interested in selling them. But when a sweatshirt starts to get close to like $30 for me, the seller, that doesn't leave a lot of room for me to make profit, to charge a lot on a place like Etsy. And most of the time, your customers aren't really going to know the difference between like a luxury t-shirt and just a standard good quality t-shirt. So for example, for t-shirts, I love the Bella and Canvas 3001 style. Now, it sometimes can be like $1 or $2 more than maybe just a classic Gildan t-shirt, but that I feel like is a worthwhile investment in that wholesale product because the quality is there. But there's other t-shirts that are $10, $15 more than that, and a customer on Etsy isn't going to know the difference between that more luxury, really unique type t-shirt and just a Bella and Canvas one. So in instances like that, I am always going to go for the option that is good enough that I can still make profit with. And this goes for things like tumblers and mugs and unique holiday items. There is so much you can do, but you can end up spending a ton on these white label wholesale products, and customers a lot of times don't even know the difference between the lowest cost item and one that has all the extra features and is super nice. Now, sometimes once you have built a big audience or a big following for your print-on-demand shop where you're making tons of sales every single month, then you really can start ramping up the quality, and that is something that customers are going to notice. But most of the time, people are coming to your shop kind of for a one-off purchase. They're not necessarily following you. They don't even know who you are. So they just expect a generic t-shirt. So that is what you should be giving them. Now, if you are looking for a manufacturing partner to link with a place like Etsy, I do definitely recommend Printify because they have some of the lowest prices out there for pretty much every single standard item. So I'm going to link them down below. You can get started with them totally for free. And they're definitely who I recommend. But really make sure you're not just getting swept into the hype of trying something really cool and thinking that that is going to be what changes your whole business because you're offering a really nice high quality item, because at the end of the day, most customers don't know and they don't care. Now, the next thing that is keeping so many new sellers from actually making money in their business that you really need to fix if you are doing is just blindly making products that you like. Now, I talked in the beginning about treating this business as a hobby, and this kind of fits into that category. So many new sellers, and I have fallen into this category at different times in the beginning of my business where I really just wanted to make things that I personally loved. Like, I love this design or this niche I'm super passionate about, so I want to make a bunch of t-shirts about this specific cause, about this specific group. Now, that can be a great way to sometimes find good niches, things you personally know about, especially if you know there's an audience. But sometimes I find that new sellers are just making things they think look really cute. They're spending time designing items that they would personally wear, and that's not always how you grow a successful print-on-demand business. What you need to be doing is putting in the time to research niches that actually have demand but have low enough competition for you to actually get seen. So one really common example I see of people just wasting a lot of time making items that are probably never going to see the light of day is a cat lover or a dog lover. They just want to make some really fun dog mom or cat mom shirts. Now, these kind of things sell on Etsy, but there is a sea of other people selling these types of items. So if you're spending a lot of time making generic products like this, you are never going to get your items in front of the right eyes. So you either need to be investing heavily in a tool that is going to help you break down the data and figure out what niches are going to sell well. There's a couple that I typically recommend. Both Merch Informer or Sales Samurai are great options. I'll have them linked below. Those can help you research and find good niches that will actually get sales. Or you need to know how to actually pinpoint your own niches and figure out what is going to sell with low enough competition. Now, I have a method that I have kind of coined my cross-niching method for finding products that are going to make tons of sales. And basically what I teach you to do and what I suggest that you do is you take two really popular categories. So it could be something like cat lovers or cat moms. And then you're going to cross that with something else that's also very popular, but also way too saturated to make sales on its own. So this could be something like careers or holidays. And then by putting them together, you are going to have a niche that is much easier for you to sell in. So for example, you could do a cat owner who is also a phlebotomist or a dog lover at St. Patrick's Day. So by combining those two things, you have a niche that people are still looking for, but it has way less competition. Now, I have an entire hour-long free workshop for you guys that takes you through the process of how to find good niches in that way. And it also gives you a free niche research guide with over 40,000 different niches that you can start working on. So I will link all the information for that down below. If you want to sign up, I'll send all the details over to your email. But you need to really make sure you are always thinking about what items customers are looking for and what items can I actually compete in instead of what I personally love and would want to design for. Now, one of the next biggest things that is keeping you from making money in your print-on-demand business and is way too common among new sellers is wasting time on non-income producing activities instead of the things that actually make you money in your business. Now, when it comes to print-on-demand, really the only thing that can be directly correlated to how much money you're making a month is how many uploads you are getting out. So for me, what I suggest as the number one income producing activity that you could do in your business is you can get more products made and actually listed on your print-on-demand stores. Now, there are so many other things that are great to be working on, great to do, but those don't necessarily correlate to income producing activities. So getting better at your design skills, that is fabulous. You need to be working on that as a print-on-demand seller. But if you spend 30 hours perfecting how to use a design suite and you make the best design ever, at the end of the day, that is only going to correlate to one new upload. And instead, if you had taken that 30 hours and you had made 60 plus new designs and gotten them on your actual Etsy store, those now potentially are making you money month after month after this. Same thing with even watching videos like this with tips and advice. These are fabulous things to learn about and start implementing. But if you are spending 10, 20 hours a week watching videos about how to actually sell print-on-demand items, how to get better at SEO, how to find the perfect products, you're not actually implementing that by uploading more items, then you're not going to be making money. So if you feel like you are spending hours on this business, you spend time every single day and you're not getting any traction, take some time to evaluate what activities you are actually doing to work on your business. If a lot of it is just stuck in trying out different designs and experimenting with 10, 20 mock-ups every single time that you make a new product, those things aren't translating to making you money. The only thing that is really going to propel your business is every single time you publish a new listing to your shop. So if those two things seem out of balance, make sure most of your time is being spent on the number one income producing activity, which is getting new listings out there. Now, the next thing that is potentially holding you back from actually making money in your print on demand business, on the surface, it might not seem directly correlated, but this has huge implications for growing a business, and that is not trademark or copyright checking your items. Now, this is not the most time consuming step in the world, but it does take additional time whenever you are making a new listing to go to a website like uspto.gov and make sure the phrase and the design that you're selling does not have any outstanding trademarks for that. But why this can be detrimental and actually making you money is because so many new sellers, they just make whatever they want, whatever they think sounds good. Come to find out, a lot of those phrases, a lot of those keywords and designs that they made contain things that are trademarked. So then one of two things can happen. If you're lucky, a site like Amazon or Etsy is just going to take down your listing. But if you're not lucky, they can end up actually banning your shop completely. Now, why this is keeping you back from making income is because every single time that you fail to look something up, you are potentially wasting all that time that you did the research, all the time you made the design, all the time it took to make your mock-ups, to actually upload and write your title and description. You could have like an hour into this whole process of getting the listing out. And if it's trademarked, it's going to be removed one way or another. So you've just wasted all that time and you're not going to be paid for any of that work that you did. Now, on the other hand, if you take the extra couple minutes and always trademark check what you're going to sell, you are saving yourself all of the work of doing the steps that come after trademark checking. So you can just move on to something else that will actually make you money. And so the important thing to note that if you are trademark checking, you are doing this at the beginning of your process instead of at the end. So I have a lot of people that are like, yeah, I trademark check, but I always do it right before I push upload. So by that time, they've already spent the time designing, they've spent the time researching, they've spent the time writing their titles and descriptions. So again, that is wasting so much. If as soon as they had an idea, looked it up in a trademark search, they could have skipped a lot of those steps at the end and saved themselves a lot of time where they could move on to something else, another design that could potentially make them money. So make sure you're not skipping out on this. You don't need any fancy tools or software to trademark check. You can just go in the US to uspto.gov and they have a free system for just checking trademarks. I highly suggest you start doing that if you aren't already. Now, the next thing that is keeping a lot of sellers from making money in their print-on-demand business, and this is so true even for people who have been at this for several years, and that is not pricing their items with profit in mind. One story that just makes me so frustrated and sad when I hear about it is sellers that are consistently making sales. They've been at this business for quite a while, and every single month they're making sales either daily or weekly, but at the end of the day, they're making about $100 profit every single month. This should not be the story for anyone, but so many sellers think that they are going to explode their shop if they can just price their items low enough so that they can get some best sellers, and then they're going to change the price to a higher amount and they're going to really make tons of profit. Now, this strategy just typically does not work. On Etsy or Amazon, there is always going to be someone who can price lower than you, who always can either make their items in-house or they can source it it from some place that just has bottom of the barrel pricing, or they're pricing for a loss. So you always want to make sure you are pricing your items to be able to make enough profit that it's worthwhile to run this business. If you are spending 100 hours a month on this and you're coming back with $100 of profit after years, that is no good. You're just wasting your time working on this. So what I suggest is aim to make between $5 and $10 profit on every single sale. If you are pricing your items where you're walking away with like 20 cents to $1 of profit, you have to make so many sales to even make any significant income. Now, what a lot of new sellers are afraid of if they start doing this is that, well, people aren't going to buy my items. They're just going to go for somebody cheaper. And that is not true in print on demand, because the really unique thing about this business model is we are able to sell items that are so unique and hyper specific that if someone likes our design, if they like our niche, it's not like they have a direct other person to buy that exact same item from. So they're going to go for ours, even if it's like $2 more than somebody else in a related niche. So what I typically suggest that sellers do to get a good idea of what they should be pricing their items at is look up your niche broadly, look up the product you're selling broadly, and take note of 10 or 20 different listings and see kind of what they're pricing at. You do not want to be on the lowest end of this, but you also don't want to be priced higher than everybody else. So kind of finding that middle ground is going to be the sweet spot. And you also can't forget that there are so many hidden costs with running a print-on-demand business or with uploading to a place like Amazon or Etsy. So I actually have a full video that tells you the true cost of starting print on demand and all of the fees and everything you can expect to pay when you start up in monthly, yearly. So I highly recommend giving this video a watch next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.